Okay, let's see if he sticks to his talking points.
There's been $1 billion allocated to health infrastructure that's going to benefit communities, hospitals right across the country. Could you tell us about the new modular units that you've recently announced?
Yeah, look, this is part of the budget 2025 infrastructure allocation, and the outcome here is to invest in rapid increase in bed capacity where there are priorities. Two areas which have been identified so far. One is Nelson. There's a need to focus on bed capacity there, and that we have identified that hospital is requiring it. Modular builds enable faster development than building a full-scale hospital. So it allows us to have that bed capacity sooner to provide those services. That's the intention. In Nelson, we've also allocated funding for the new hospital rebuild there, which will increase bed numbers. And so this is an interim measure to support that hospital to be able to continue to deliver the care that's required and increase the care that's required in Nelson whilst that build is underway.
Excellent. And you talk about the Nelson Hospital. What steps has the government taken to ensure major redevelopments have stalled, such as Nelson, are delivered?
Look, I think it's really important that we focus on delivery. And I think the challenge we've had across the health estate in recent years is there's been a number of projects which haven't got to the delivery stage as quickly as they need to. My focus is on getting those projects delivered. That's my focus. And so the Nelson Hospital rebuild is one of those which we've allocated the funding for. And the expectation for Health New Zealand is to get on with delivery. The interim
I thought it was about surgery, it's not strategy.
There is increased capacity sooner because there are real challenges at that hospital now, and we need to address those. And that's why it's been identified for that investment. But look, I'd also just point to the legislation changes that we did announce on the weekend. Currently, health infrastructure is not one of the areas that Health New Zealand is required to focus on. And so we're requiring health infrastructure, and we're going to be putting that into the legislation as an area which actually does require further attention, and putting in place a health infrastructure committee with experts who can help ensure that health infrastructure projects across the country are able to be delivered on time and within budget.
Point of order, Mr. Chair. I do want to make sure I get to my set of primaries and it's not interrupted by SAP. So I'll forego my SAP on this, provided I get the primary question.
Okay. Well, my primary
We've got Carlos and Jenny in front of you.
Mine's very short.
I'm happy to stay 15 more minutes as well.
Happy to stay 15 more minutes. There you go.
We've got time. There you go.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah,
How about you try staying the full 90 minutes?
Yeah.
I mean, we're paying the taxpayers. Go sit there. Just sit there. You know, we're paying for it. Sit there.
Yeah. Did you notice that Karen McAnulty regenerated into Ingrid Leary?
Yes, I saw that.
Yeah. And the reason why I say that is because the name on the table is still Karen.
Yeah, he was speaking too much sense. They sent him off to the gulag.
Well, Ingrid's the actual member of the committee. Kieran would have been subbing for Ingrid.
Yes. He channeled his inner Ingrid and thus she appeared.
Imagine that being cropped out of there, of the, the one of the inner Ingrid appeared or something, that Kieran can sit there and, put some fancy video out there or something.
Oh, God. Yeah, I so wish that I went over the transcript for this before doing tonight's show, because then I could have gotten a lot more accurate with data and stuff. But, hey, doing shit live is kind of fun.
Yeah. Let's see how he continues.
Was my sup now, Mr. Chair?
That doesn't eat into the Minister for Mental Health's time, does it?
Yeah.
We're going to have to be careful there because we will have that. We can probably do 10.
Yeah, happy to stay in the 10 minutes.
And then, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, so there's been this government's doing a lot of investment into infrastructure, getting new hospital beds. But what are we doing to make sure that the historic issue that's happened in New Zealand, where we have depreciated assets, the book value is quite low compared to the replacement value? What sort of thinking have you got to make sure that trend that's happened in New Zealand across multiple public assets, including health, doesn't continue into the future?
Well, that's a really good question. And the asset management across the health estate has been a challenge for some decades. This is a problem which I believe has developed over multiple governments. And it is a challenge that we need to address.
Multiple?
Health New Zealand, I think, released a couple of months ago the National Asset Management
scheme
policy around how they are proposing to manage the health infrastructure and manage the asset remediation. But that is certainly a focus of the health infrastructure plan, is around remediation of hospitals and making sure that they are fit for purpose. And there's a number of major projects which the next tranche will be focused on, such as Tauranga Hawke's Bay, Palmerston North, because there are a large number, particularly those regional hospitals, which do require significant investment. And that's why we put in place the health infrastructure plan, so that there's a clarity around what needs to be delivered by when. So we're able to actually make that investment and get that delivery done.
Supplementary,
Treasury estimates $2.3 billion needs to be spent on infrastructure every year in order to deliver the contents of your own infrastructure plan. You've only committed to $1 billion in this budget. You're not even following the outlines of your own plan.
Yeah, so the infrastructure that we allocated is what we've allocated in terms of capital. The Health New Zealand Board also has a capital plan funded through depreciation, and so they fund a large amount of infrastructure investment through their depreciation fund as well.
Will that meet the $2.3 billion?
Well, ultimately, Health New Zealand's going through the process of finalising their budgets at this stage, but ultimately that both of those numbers will deliver the total capital that is required. But as I said, this is not a problem that has developed, and the health infrastructure, the state of our health infrastructure is a problem that will take time to fix. It has developed over multiple decades. It is going to require multiple decades of investment to ensure that we are able to deliver that modern infrastructure that is needed for New Zealanders, for patients and the healthcare workforce.
And one more stuff, if I may, Mr. Chair. Nelson Hospital, no additional theatres for Nelson Hospital, and over 15 years, you're anticipating that 15% of people who would need hospitalisations currently can be cared for in the community. Those seem like pretty heroic assumptions. What makes you confident that you're delivering a fit-for-purpose hospital for Nelson?
Well, I mean, firstly, the rescoping exercise started when you were the minister, back in, I think it was May 2023, based on and then updated modelling. Health New Zealand provides estimates. They do that on a regular basis. The issue here is they have a bed capacity challenge.
No one's getting operations at Nelson Hospital. That
because
is
they
the
don't have
problem.
enough beds. They cancel lists because there aren't enough beds for patients to go to post-operation. And so more beds means more operations, so that we're able to actually get on top of those wait lists. And in the short term, the interim bed capacity that we're providing, and also significantly increasing the number of patients that will be outsourced in Nelson.
What evidence do you have 15% of people who currently need to be in the hospital can be cared for in the community? Or is this just another magical efficiency that you dream up?
Well, I think when you were the minister, you talked about needing to deliver more through primary care and more care in the community. That was certainly one of the priorities that you focused on, and it's a focus area that I continue to have, is actually we do need to make sure that where care can be delivered in the community, we should be supporting different models of care to allow for that.
I've also run a hospital in the home service, and I know who can be discharged into them, and I'm not saying
those are all clinical
large
decisions.
amounts of older people can be discharged into
And those
the
are clinical decisions which get made by clinicians.
All right, we'll go to Carlos for primary. We've got about just over 50.
Yeah, so he's talking about more beds equal more surgeries, and yet when I look at the cuts that are done to Dunedin Hospital, we're looking at cuts to the maternity ward from 23 to 22, cuts to mental health for older people, service beds from 21 to 8, cuts to rehabilitation ward beds from 40 to 16, cuts to intensive care and HDU surgical ward from 40 beds to 20. That makes sense, Simeon. And also we've got no new stuff for Nelson, and we've got a growing population in the South Island.
Yeah, it's growing faster in the north.
Yeah, it's just none of this shit adds up. Like, okay, you've got some people go, Labor started the cuts. Cool, okay, call out Labor when they do it. Call out everyone when they do it. If National is doing it, call them the fuck out. It's not adequate enough.
Yeah.